Saudi Arabia is a global synonym for wealth, but why exactly? If your first answer is oil, you're not wrong. But there's more to it. Today I'm going to break down, in simple terms, the three pillars that explain Saudi wealth, who actually feels it day to day, and what happens as clean energy rises. Pillar 1. Ultra-profitable oil. It's not just having oil, it's having oil that's cheap to extract. Saudi Arabia does. That means huge margins for Saudi Aramco, the state oil giant and a cash machine by any standard. The country also has a unique role in the market. It can raise or cut production quickly. Think of a DJ on the volume knob, open the taps when the world needs more. Close them a bit when prices fall too much. That's where OPEC Plus comes in. Think of it as a club of oil-producing countries that coordinate production targets to avoid price chaos. OPEC is the original group. The Plus brings in partners like Russia. When OPEC Plus reduces supply, prices tend to rise. When it increases supply, prices can ease. Saudi Arabia is a central player in this coordination. End result, it sells a lot with high margins and pricing power. Pillar 2. Turning oil income into power and investment. Saudi Arabia runs like a state enterprise model. Oil revenue funds services and infrastructure at home and feeds the PIF, the sovereign wealth fund that buys stakes and projects worldwide. It's the strategy of turning today's oil into tomorrow's assets. To keep planning stable, the riyal is pegged to the US dollar, which lowers currency turbulence and makes contracts, tech imports, and long-term planning easier. In plain English, oil becomes cash, cash becomes assets, assets become influence, while a stable currency keeps the machine predictable. Pillar 3. Diversifying beyond oil. The Vision 2030 program aims to cut oil dependence with very concrete levers. Tourism and entertainment. Bring in big events, soccer, boxing, MMA, Formula 1 to juice, hotels, airlines, restaurants, and retail. Special economic zones, lighter taxes, less red-tapey land, and infrastructure ready for business. Logistics, ports and hubs linking Asia, Africa, and Europe. Mining and industry. Do more processing inside the country, not just export raw materials. Clean energy and hydrogen. Plant the seeds of the next energy economy now. Human capital, more English in schools, scholarships to the US and Europe, and more tech-oriented universities. The idea is simple. Swap oil income for productive capacity across sectors. It takes time, but it's the only sustainable path. So who actually feels this wealth? For Saudi citizens, the benefits are clear. No personal income tax, public health care, and historically cheap energy. For context, in the US, many people pay something like 20 to 35% in income tax. In Saudi Arabia, that burden doesn't exist, partly because the state is funded by oil revenues, and, said gently, introducing a broad income tax would also hit those who already hold the most capital. There's also a large base of foreign workers running construction, services, and logistics. They generally earn less, live in simpler accommodations, and don't receive the same benefits. This contrast exists and is a key social challenge. Education, health, and rules matter because they shape productivity and social costs. Education is improving with English instruction and overseas scholarships, seeding future talent in tech and management. Citizens have access to a public health system with modern hospitals, and many foreign doctors help staff it. Laws are stricter under Sharia than in Western democracies. SEZ shapes public behavior and security, but also sets cultural boundaries. At the same time, there's gradual opening. Women now drive, work across more sectors, and play a bigger role in the economy. That blend of discipline, modernization, and consumption spins up a new service economy and attracts tourists. What about the future when clean energy takes the lead? Saudi leaders know they can't live on oil forever. That's why they're accelerating solar, wind, and green hydrogen in the desert and using special zones to pull in factories, services, and data centers. Tourism is heating up. Mega events put the country on the map. Logistics are tying it closer to global trade routes. But the transition is slower than the speeches. Even with lots of capital, Saudi Arabia still needs homegrown technology and know-how, which today are concentrated in hubs like the US and China. The game is to convert today's revenue into productive and technological capacity before global demand for fossil fuels starts a steady decline. Tie it all together and the title answers itself. Saudi Arabia is so rich because it combines ultra-low-cost oil, pricing power via OPEC Plus, and a state model that captures and reinvests that income into assets and new sectors backed by currency stability and targeted incentives. The wealth shows up for citizens through services, subsidies, and zero income tax, but distribution isn't uniform, especially for foreign workers. The challenge now is making that wealth survive without oil. Improve internal distribution, make housing more accessible in major cities, speed up homegrown tech, and make Vision 2030 deliver on the ground. If that bridge is built well, Saudi Arabia stops being just oil and stands as a regional hub for services, tourism, logistics, and energy. If it sticks to the barrel, it stays very rich, as long as oil keeps paying the bill. If you enjoyed this breakdown, drop a like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Those signals really help the channel. And tell me in the comments, which pillar do you think matters most? Low costs, OPEC pricing power, or the sovereign wealth fund? I'm reading everything. I might do a follow-up just on that.